Next up, we got number 4, which is Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. Now, I'm gonna say that it's not like this is an unknown movie, but I'm bringing it up because I figure that it's not a film that you will commonly see in a top 5, but I think it's a brilliant movie. It was directed by Jim Jarmusch in 1999, and if you're a fan of Jim Jarmusch, you've probably seen all his films already, but you know, it's not like I'm a fan of Jim particularly. I don't own a lot of his films, but I think this one is just amazing. It stars Forest Whitaker, and it's a movie about this strange hitman type guy. It's like, you know, it's a hitman film, sort of like Leon, or you know, or yeah, some other hitman film. Hitman, which I haven't seen, probably sucks, but anyway. There's this guy played by Forest Whitaker, and as you know, Forest Whitaker is he's a black guy and is pretty big, and is not, I mean, he could come off as a good hitman, but he's not what you commonly consider as a samurai type character. But in this film he plays this odd hitman who lives alone on like the rooftop of like apartment building right downtown in the city, and he has these sort of like what do you call them, like male pigeons, you know, or messenger pigeons. Well, you know, back in the old days you used to have pigeons, and you would sort of tie little letters in small notes on like their feet and would send them off, and they would bring the message to someone else somewhere. And he uses that bizarre custom. He has a lot of trained pigeons up on his roof, and the only way to contact him for a potential hit is to send a letter through these pigeons. And so when he was young, he was his life was saved by a guy who's involved in the mafia, and so they have sort of this sacred bond, and Forrest's character considered this mafioso guy to be sort of like his sensei or his master or whatever, so he feels like he owes him because he saved his life. And I don't know, it's just such a strange movie, and Forrest does an incredible job of portraying this strange, big samurai type guy who lives like by the code of the samurai, like a hitman, and he goes around with like, it's not like he runs around with a sword throughout the film, but there are some kind of like sword training scenes where it's up on the roof, sort of like, and it's such a strange blend. But you know, when he does his hitman jobs, he's got like the typical 2 guns with the silencers, and you know, like pops people off. And the portraying of the mafiosos and the mafia guys in this film is so hilarious, and unlike anything you've ever seen. It's like the only thing that the mafia guys ever watch on TV is like cartoons, and it's so strange. Seriously, I mean, if you like the typical sort of like hired hitman type films, or if you're a fan of that genre, you should check this out, because it's so bizarre and beautiful and strange and clever and funny. I mean, it's not a comedy, but it's got, you know, I'm not really sure how to describe it, because it's such a strange plot. And it's also, there's a lot of connections to like the hip-hop culture and this sort of like samurai hip-hop mafioso community, and it's just a wonderfully warm story. And this hitman guy kind of meets a young girl in the park, and they like exchange books, and it's like a book about philosophy of being a samurai and stuff, and he gets a different book and reads it, and you know, it's a movie about friendship, bonding, and you know, just, I don't know. Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. See it, it's a great film. Last but not least, number 5, which I wasn't really sure if I was going to bring in, but I decided to anyway. This is Orgazmo. It came out in 1997, and it's directed by Trey Parker, and it's co-written with Matt Stone. And for anyone who doesn't recognize those names, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are the co-creators behind the South Park series and the South Park movies. But anyway, I think that this is, you know, some of their best work. It's got a wonderfully bizarre plot. It's about a Mormon who walks around knocking on doors, you know, sort of teaching about the Mormon ways, as the Mormons do. And he's walking like in upscale Hollywood quarters, and he ends up at the door of the character Max Orbison. Max is spelled with 3 X's. And Max is a porn film director, and as it turns out has just fired his leading star in his current production, and all of a sudden this Mormon guy shows up at the door, and he's kind of attacked by the security guards of this big mansion, and sort of fights them off in, like, you know, karate style fashion. It's so stupid. And then, like, the porn director sort of hires him on the spot as this leading star. The reason that this Mormon guy actually takes the job as a porn star, he has to raise money for himself and his girlfriend, as they are to have like their dream wedding and like start their whole new life together. And you know, and he doesn't have a lot of money, so that's why he takes the job. But he doesn't tell his girlfriend about this, obviously, and sort of tries to hide it. And he just hates being a porn star. You know, he's like, I mean, the story is just so ridiculous and so ridiculously funny. And the leading star of this porno film, the character is named Orgazmo, and he's sort of like this superhero type porn guy, and he's got this big cannon on his arm that shoots, and when he hits someone, it's like a laser thing, then they immediately have an orgasm, and that's like his super weapon or whatever. But the thing that's perhaps the most hilarious about this film, you'll notice that, you know, it's Orgazmo, and this is the unrated special edition. The thing is that this film has absolutely like 0, and that's not just a figure of speech. There's not a single full frontal nudity scene, neither male nor female. There's no shot of titties in the entire film. It's very much hinted, like whenever a pair of tits are almost on display, there's like, all of a sudden there's something blocking it. So I think the most nudity you see in this film is actually like a big naked hairy man butt, but that's fun too. So yeah, I think it's a movie that has an incredibly amount of clever jokes. I think this is actually better than South Park. It seems to me that this is a film that's more commonly seen by guys rather than girls, which I think is a shame, because I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of girls who like South Park, and you know, but I think people just avoid seeing it, especially girls, because of the topic. But I don't know. I think everyone should give this movie a chance, because it's a great comedy, and you know, good film. Just watch it. That's it from me today. I hope you enjoy this. Oh yeah, by the way, I totally forgot. If you're wondering why I have the hat on, because I've never had that before. That's just because I didn't do my hair today and it looks like total fuck up mess of a hairstyle if I don't, so that's that.